At the beginning of the year, I did something absolutely crazy. I held a big knife sale, I brought in a bunch of funds, and then I bought a very expensive knife, the Machinewise Mojave, and I absolutely love it. I called it the ultimate hyper knife, the Grail killer, the Grail serial killer. And then something even crazier happened. I got the opportunity to buy a Brown Cortex XL off of a channel member, but now there's a problem because I said some pretty crazy things about both of these knives, which led to some questions being asked by the channel members. If you could only have one, which one would you pick? Now, I'm not the kind of guy to pick favorites amongst children, but today we're going to do just that because you, the channel members, the audience, demanded that I give an answer. So today we're going to talk about which one I would rather have if I could only keep one. The Machinewise Mojave, a high-end production folder made to meticulous standards out of the Machinewise shop in Arizona, boasting incredible milling patterns with insanely tight and accurate tolerances that equal an impossibly smooth action that is, in my opinion, second to none. The best way to describe it would be to have you imagine that frictionless moment in time that happens when you try walking on black ice in the wintertime, but without all of the instant regret. And it doesn't matter how many times I flick it or flip it, the pure addiction that happens as a result is instantaneous. The blade is also something quite impressive given its full flat grind and Machinewise hand ground edge bevel that has been mirror polished to a laser beam. Satisfaction is a flipper tab away, one click and you've got your wife's empty Amazon boxes on the run because this is an edge that doesn't quit. Kind of like that one employee at Chick-fil-A who has been there for a decade because it truly is their pleasure. The blade only knows how to do one thing, and it does it exceptionally well. Now, if you throw in the world's best pocket clip design, which features a milled and smoothed out garage on the handle scales that are dedicated to keeping the pull from your pocket as carefree as the day before you learned what taxes were, you will find that this knife is not just another great carry. It's bordering on epic. Not hurting its case one bit, the Mojave also boasts a minimalist set of only 3 T15 torque screws to hold it all together. Do all of that, and you've got a smooth operator. But wait just a hot tootin' minute, because we can't just hand the victory in my undying, never-ending love and loyalty to the Mojave without also considering one of the most lusted after, drooled over, and hunted down folders in recent history. Vying for my pocket's attentions is a behemoth in these EDC streets. I am, of course, talking about the Brown Cortex XL. Look, if knives were money, I'd be rich, and if they were gold, then Brown would be King Midas, because literally everything he touches turns into it. The Cortex XL, despite its bold moniker suffix, is not an oversized axe head masquerading as pocket cutlery. And while it's not necessarily in need of Jenny Craig's weight loss plan, it's still what many would consider to be an EDC heavyweight contender for Holy Grail status. You have to understand, Brown does a large amount of the work on his knives by hand. While the handles are CNC milled, he also makes the hardware in-house, hand grinds and finishes these deeply hollow ground blades himself, and then tunes them to perfection. The blade shape itself may be one of the few in recent history to really compete with the Mojave for most aggressive sheep's foot blade ever. But this knife is more than just an intimidating piece of pocket jewelry. It's a statement of what we should come to expect from expensive American-made knives. Built into the chassis is a custom tuning system, which allows the user to increase or decrease both the lockup and the detent to their own personal preference, which offers an insane amount of personalization to your carry. It also doesn't hurt that the Cortex XL also features a 3D milled pocket clip with a flat spot underneath, giving the Mojave some very stiff competition for easy egress from your jeans. And if you thought the Mojave's lack of hardware was impressive, you'll love that the entire Cortex XL is held together by only a T8 Torx pivot and a T10 Torx body screw. The one-upsmanship happening here may be unintentional, but to me, the tension between the two is becoming a bit overwhelming. I say it all the time. The aesthetics on a knife are important. the more you like the way a knife looks, the more likely it is to make its way into your rotation instead of collecting dust in your house like some forgotten elf on the shelf sweating it out in the heat of June. The good news is that even if it's not super practical at a table price of $850, your jeans do have multiple pockets. So there's still space for your beloved Milwaukee Fastback. Go ahead, be a fat kid, eat your cake.
And I'm not fat, I'm big bone.
So normally this would be the part where I pull out both of these knives and say, oh, they're both amazing in their own rights, and I can't choose between the two of them. I love all of my children equally, and then we'd go on with the rest of life. But honestly, I'm not going to do that to you today because I have done some deliberation. I have figured out if I could only keep one, which one would I keep? And I have a feeling that I know which one everyone thinks that I'm going to pick. I think that everyone thinks I'm going to pick this guy right here, the Cortex XL. And the Cortex XL is an amazing knife. This is an absolute top level Grail. It was in my top 3 on my Grail list recently until I got it. And it's just been an absolutely killer addition to the collection and to my pocket. Guys, I carry both of these knives despite the fact that they are, you know, really freaking expensive. But no, if I could only pick one, if I could only keep one, if it's the zombie apocalypse, if my house is on fire and I can only fit one more knife in my pocket, I would in fact go with the Machinewise Mojave. And it's for one specific reason. Because believe it or not, both of these are incredibly well-made knives, and I wouldn't cry if either one of them ended up in my pocket on the way out the door with the door frame burning around me. But given the choice between the two, knowing what I know, I would 100% pick the Mojave over the Cortex XL. And the reason for that is simple. For me, it comes down to the simple fact that a knife is first and foremost a cutting tool. And while the hollow grind on this Cortex XL is divine, the heat treat on the Mojave is a higher Rockwell heat treat. So to give you an example, if you buy a Machinewise knife, you will get a COA, a certificate of authenticity in the box, and it will confirm what this specific blade has been Rockwell tested to. Now on this one, before they put it all together and shipped it out to me after I bought it, they Rockwell tested it right here, right next to the pivot at 62 Rockwell on 20 CV. 62 Rockwell on 20 CV is a very good Rockwell hardness for 20 CV. You're going to get the best out of its edge retention at 62. By contrast, if you buy a Cortex XL, while you will get a certificate of authenticity, it does not in fact tell you what they heat treated the MagnaCut to. But I reached out to Craig Brown directly because I wanted to know. I had heard some rumors and I wanted to know. And the target for the MagnaCut is anywhere between 60 to 61. Listen, it's not to say that they do a bad heat treat. It's just not a heat treat that lends to the best performance that you can get on MagnaCut. I still maintain that if you want good performance out of MagnaCut, you want to be no lower than 62. Most people would say 63. And so what that means is that yes, it is going to be a tougher steel, which is going to help with that thinner edge angle. But it's also going to be a lower wear resistance, which means that it is going to need to be sharpened more frequently. Even now, I can see that the edge of this blade could probably use a bit of a touch-up. I'm not super impressed with 60 to 61 on the Rockwell. And while some people might look at that and say, well, could you really tell a difference? Yeah. If you were to do a cut test with something like a Cortex XL and you were to put it up against something like an American Blade Works anything in MagnaCut that's been cryo-treated to 63 to 65, you would notice that the cryo-treated MagnaCut will shine through each and every time. So, because the First and foremost purpose of a knife is to cut, and the Mojave will cut longer than the Cortex XL. My money would have to go with the Mojave. This is a knife where they thought about it all. They thought about the tiny details. They thought about how can we make this an epic cutting tool, not just something that is incredibly addictive to handle, but also something that will continue to cut and that will not quit until all the cardboard in your house has officially been destroyed and your arms are as hairless as a newborn babe's. So there you have it, guys. If you wanted to know, yeah, I would, of course, pick the Machinewise Mojave. And in my opinion, this is some extremely impressive American-made production cutlery. But I would really like to see what your thoughts are. If you could only have one and you had a Cortex XL and a Machinewise Mojave, which one would you pick and why? What do you think of Craig Brown admitting that he only targets 60 to 61 when he sends these out to be heat treated? I would sincerely like to know. The good news is that I don't have to pick, and that I do love both of these knives dearly, and both of them have earned permanent places in my collection and dominate my pocket frequently. I love both of them, so I don't have to choose. I'm not going to sell one of these, so please don't ask. And if you want one of these, I can highly recommend either. Which one would you pick? Let me know in the comment section down below. Guys, if you enjoyed the video and you haven't done so yet, consider hitting that subscribe button because we definitely have more content on the way. But if you just want to enjoy some more awesome knife and EDC content, feel free to click on one of the videos that pops up next.